of your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and join the board in a moment of silence as we honor our veterans, our first responders, and especially lately, our active military who are in harm's way. And this evening, we also ask that you keep in your thoughts and prayers longtime village attorney John Spellman, who is seriously ill, and so please keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This evening, we have a work session and a public meeting. I will entertain a motion for approval of bills and payroll.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second? Second by Trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. While Mr. Rivera makes his way up, I would also like to point out that Trustee Solosky is unable to be here with us this evening.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Rivera, good evening.
Resolved to approve the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Trustees from March 4th, March 11th, and March 18th, 2026.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve a request by Boy Scout Troop 45 for the use of the Village Hall Community Center Gymnasium, Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. to hold a basketball night.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve a request from the Birchwood Court Owners, Inc. for the use of the Village Hall Community Center Auditorium to hold their annual meeting of shareholders on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026, from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Okay, this is an annual request. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Trustee Clark, second by Trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve a request from the Mineola Union Free School District for the use of the John S. Devanzo Community Pool, July 6th through August 10th, 2026, on Mondays from 12:15 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. for its special education summer program.
Again, this is also an annual request, and we're glad to do it. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori, second by Trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve a request by the Mineola Chamber of Commerce to conduct the Mineola Street Fair on Sunday, October 4th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Jericho Turnpike from the east side of Mineola Boulevard to Nassau Boulevard and Willis Avenue between Washington Avenue and Linden Road. Rain date is October 11th, 2026.
Okay, we had a great street fair this past year. Hopefully, the weather will cooperate once again. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Deputy Mayor Sartori, second by Trustee Casado. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the Mineola Memorial Library and the United Public Service Employees Union, and be it further resolved that the mayor is authorized to execute the collective bargaining agreement on behalf of the Village of Mineola with the UPS-EU.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Clark, second by Trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, as part of tonight's work session, we're also going to have a 2026-27 budget presentation by our village treasurer. So, Mr. Chacon. Next week, we will have a hearing on the budget on the 15th, 6:30 p.m., a week from tomorrow, Wednesday, April 15th, there will be a budget hearing, at which point there will be copies available of the proposed budget, and the public can comment, ask questions, et cetera. Tonight, we're just going to have Mr. Chacon present some of the budget highlights. So, Mr. Chacon?
Good evening, Mayor, Board. John
Good
G.
Evening.
Good evening.
Doing a budget presentation tonight for fiscal year 2026, 2027. I'm just going to go over some of the big items, big changes from prior year. If you turn the budget to page 2, which is the revenue for the general fund. The first item is, that I want to go over was line 55, which is pilots. Pilot revenue is increasing by $65,000. due to pilot payments coming in higher than anticipated. That was the first item. If you move down the page to line 64, on-street parking, we're looking to increase that $100,000 due to the purchase of temporary usage meters by NYU Langone and developers, and broken meters and outdated machines being replaced by new kiosks. If you go down the page a little bit further, line 77, permits, building, we're increasing that by $50,000 due to anticipated commercial permits in fiscal year 26-27. Line 81, fines and forfeitures, we're increasing that by $175,000. That's due to prior year trend. Revenues continue an existing upward pattern in that area. Same page, line 88, Harrison Avenue Garage is increasing by $100,000 as additional parking permits are being purchased, driven by greater awareness of this parking garage. Line 93, mortgage tax, we're increasing that by $75,000, which is a result of higher property values and an increase in mortgage activity. And the last item on that page I wanted to bring up was line 94, state aid other. Governor Hochul has increased its temporary municipal assistance for municipalities, resulted in state aid increasing by $36,956 for the village of Mineola.
Take it.
Yeah. It's like the same thing.
Couple of highlights I just want to point out, especially the Harrison Avenue Garage, when it started, and it's certainly been developing through both agreements with NYU Langone, as well as you said, increased, knowledge of the fact that it's there, and more people are starting to use it. So that is certainly something that is very helpful for our budget, getting $700,000 out of that garage.
Yes. If I'm going to move along to expenses in the general fund. And if you move to first expense that I wanted to go over was line 235, which is on page 5, and line 295, which is the next page. There's area there, and there's the area in the fire department. Liability and fire insurance will increase by $41,765 due to the addition of new vehicles, equipment, and market conditions. The next item on the same page, line 241, is actually in the water fund, line 565, and the pool fund, 655. The MTA payroll tax will decrease by $30,500 for all three funds. Effective July 1st, 2025, municipalities are exempt from the Metropolitan Commuter Transportation District payroll tax.
Okay, so that's something that we've been fighting for a long time, probably for about 15 years or so. And although it's not a big number, $30,500, certainly it could be a clerk at the library, and we could certainly use that money. And the fact that we as a municipality had to fund the MTA payroll tax because we live in the counties that are contiguous to the MTA system and served by the MTA, certainly this is something that villages, not just Mineola, have fought against. So I'm glad that it's sunsetting, and that that we're no longer expending that money, because it really was ridiculous.
The next item for expenses, line 539, which is on page 11. That's New York State Retirement System pension costs are increasing by $100,000 because the New York State Retirement System is changing the average contribution from 16.5% of payroll to 17.6% of payroll. Second consecutive year.
Yeah, and those are those so-called unfunded mandates, and I would just like to point out that, between all of those, the New York State Retirement System, Social Security tax, healthcare, medical insurance, and dental insurance, that's over $330,000 increasing. That's something that we have no control over. They send us the bill, they tell us the percentage, and we just have to to do it. And ironically, our tax levy increase from year to year is about $291,000. So if you can imagine, it literally is the increase of these unfunded, mandates, or these mandates rather, that we have to honor. Us and everybody else, school districts, towns, and every other municipality.
The next item on the same page, line 544, is the health and medical insurance. We're increasing that by $160,000 as NISHIP rates have increased between 8 and 9%. Those are all the highlights. In conclusion, due to the changes to the budget for fiscal year 26-27, there'll be a tax levy increase of $291,064 from last year's budget. This would result in a 1.95% tax levy, which remains below the tax cap at 2% for fiscal year 26-27.
Okay. And just to go back to the health and medical insurance, if we take this, so our budget is approximately $29 million. 3.6 million of it is health insurance, right? That is certainly a big chunk of it. It's probably close to 15%. And then if we start to talk about these other, the contributions to the pension fund and dental insurance and other things, those 28 million, it starts to, whittle down very, very quickly. And the fact that we're able to do so much, and our tax levy is approximately half of our budget, about 14 million, right, give or take, is raised from taxes. The other 14 million from other sources, permits, and things like that. So the point I'm trying to make is that for a large village, a complex village, we get a lot, in my opinion, we get a lot of bang for our buck. We're increasing our tax levy from year to year under $300,000. As I just pointed out, just in the healthcare or contributions for the pension system and Social Security, that in and of itself is that increase, and then some. And then when you add the increase in healthcare costs, health insurance, we're really swimming against the tide, which means we have to find cost savings elsewhere or revenue elsewhere. And that's where things like the Harrison Avenue Garage comes in, and having more efficient code enforcement, so having better meters where people are more likely to feed them, less broken meters, more enforcement, and of course to have a busy building department also helps to be a village that is desirable, that people want to move to, buy homes in, and then improve their homes. That all generates revenue as well, including property values, which then mortgage tax increases. So it's always this game of there are things we can control and there are things we can't control. And a lot of times the things we can't control, those are big numbers, $3.6 million in healthcare costs in a $29 million budget. That's a big percentage. So I think 1.95, you said,
Yes.
is reasonable when we take into account the things that did increase that are well beyond that. It's well beyond 1.95. We're under the tax cap again, as we have always been. And I will say that the increase of 1.95 in the tax levy on your village portion of your taxes is a modest increase, and one that we hope will translate into better service, into more more things for our residents, and continue to be fiscally sound and responsible. So thank you, Mr. Chacon. Anybody else?
No.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I would just like to say, just to reiterate what you just said, I would love to sit here and say, we're not raising your taxes. But when you have these mandates that are so expensive, not raising taxes would require us sacrificing services that we give our village and our residents. So budgeting is a balancing act, and I think this is a really great start to, I have to dive into it further, but I think this is just proves that we're fiscally responsible, to be able to absorb that mandate and not take away any of the services, and in fact, improve and give more to our residents, speaks a lot. So thank you very much for your hard work on this. I'm actually proud to say that we're staying on that tax cap, and we're not changing anything in a negative way. So thank you.
Trustee Clark?
Also, I'd like to thank you, Jock, for doing a great job on this, putting it together. It's quite a monumental task. And I would encourage any residents that have questions to come in and, ask questions, and we can help them out. But thank you for a great job.
Thank you.
Trustee Casado?
No, great job, Jock.
Thank you.
Okay. I would also like to add that there are, you've noticed, we've all noticed, that things are more expensive, and they're also more expensive for us. Diesel, gas, supplies. This year, we had quite a winter, so salt, overtime, maintenance of our equipment, those things, we can budget, but when we have a winter like we just did, we're gonna blow through our budget. That's why it's important to have contingencies. That's why it's important to have this kind of solid rainy day fund, so that when unforeseen events do present themselves, we are prepared to do that. And that's what this budget allows us to do. It's one thing to be fiscally responsible, but it's another thing to just say that we're going to do a certain thing for the sake of saying it, and then when things happen, we don't have that backup, we don't have that safety net. So that's equally important as well. So again, next week, we have a budget hearing here at 6:30 on Wednesday the 15th. Mr. Chacon will make another presentation. The public can certainly interact. There will be copies of the budget there. But where we stand right now, and some things may change. I mean, if you have not been watching Albany, we do not have a state budget yet, so which was by constitution of the state of New York, it's supposed to be approved by April 1st. Well, today's April 7th. So today, today or yesterday, they just voted on an extender. So unlike the federal government, the state government is not shutting down. What they do is they vote on extending so that employees get paid for another week or two, and hopefully we'll have the state budget. What does that mean for us? It means that we can't plug those numbers in for state aid to the penny. I mean, we know more or less based on what we've gotten in the past, but there may be increases for infrastructure, there may be increases for roads, there may be increases for other line items, and we don't, or decreases. And we don't know that. But we have to also forge ahead and have our budget, because we're also held to, certain timelines. And so we have to approve our budget by
May 1st,
May 1st. And our fiscal year starts July 1st.
June 1st.
June 1st. That's what I meant. After May comes June. So anyway, we'll hope to see you here next week for our budget hearing. And thank you again, Mr.
Thank you.
Chacon. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Palumbo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Request a resolution authorizing the purchase of 18 Mackey Beacon dual-space solar parking meters and 5 Mackey Beacon single-space solar parking meters from the Omnia contract number 158972. The vendor is Mackey Meters, Inc., and the cost is $18,675, and the funding will be from the 2025-2026 general fund budget and or the general fund unreserved balance.
Okay, and this is what I was just talking about. We are slowly each year, renewing our stock of meters. The older meters that we have, when they break, we kind of cannibalize the ones that we have to try to fix them. But every time we have a broken meter, that is essentially lost revenue. And also, today's consumers, if you will, they want to have the ability to pay by credit card or to pay by app, or to not have quarters. I like quarters still, but there are people that don't. So these new solar-powered meters and other double-headed meters allow for different methods of payment. and they certainly allow for the enforcement to be more efficient. So, but you see that they're not cheap. They're close to $1,000 each, and that's why we only buy a few every year and hopefully keep building. And if you go downtown, you'll see that most of the downtown has these types of meters, and we're slowly beginning to replace sections of the village with these meters. So I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion by trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by deputy mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I request a resolution authorizing the purchase of 112 new water meters, 100 5/8 by 3/4 and 12 1-inch meters. The vendor is Rio Supply, Inc. of New York. The cost of $41,248, and the funding source is the 2025-2026 water fund budget and/or the water fund unreserved balance.
Okay, and going in that vein of slowly replacing things, if you can see, there's 112 meters for 41,000. We literally have thousands of meters, I don't know, 7,000,
I think 5,500.
5,500 meters. So you can imagine if we were to replace them all at the same time, it would obviously not be doable. So, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next, request a resolution authorizing the purchase of GIS equipment for the digital mapping of our utilities locations. The vendor is New York Precision Equipment. The cost is $23,528, and the funding is from the 2025-2026 general fund budget and/or the general fund unreserved balance.
Okay, and I assume this is when people see the lines on the road when we do markouts, and so for
Yeah,
us to know where water is and
Yeah,
sewer
so
is and,
our maps are from the 50s.
right.
So this will digitize all that, and we'll know where all our shut-offs are, our manholes are, hydrants, street lights, and so on.
And
all
it makes
on
it more efficient, and we're
Yeah.
not digging around trying to find something, because sometimes we have experienced where we have a map that says there's an 8-inch main, and then we open it up and it's a 6-inch main, and you may think, well, what's the difference? It's a big difference in terms of us preparing for development or building or connections. So this GIS equipment allows us to have more accurate, more up-to-date,
Yeah.
which in the end saves us time, and time is money.
Well, even like this year with all the snow, you had to dig with the payloader to find the shut-off valves for
Right.
water main breaks.
Right.
So now with the GIS, it'll pinpoint the locations of exactly where the shut-offs are.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, if you recall, this winter, because of the freezing and the thawing, we did have a decent amount of water main breaks, and of course, time is of the essence when we want to be able to shut that off. So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Casado, second by deputy mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Request a resolution authorizing Friday, April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the Village of Mineola to be commemorated with the planting of a tree, location to be determined.
Okay. Every year, I believe for the last 37 years, close to 40 years, we are a tree city, USA, Mineola is. We do plant hundreds of trees each year, and so one of the things that we have to do is, on Arbor Day, is do a tree planting, a symbolic tree planting. Entertain a motion to resolve to declare Friday, April 24th. Motion by trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Request a resolution authorizing the proposal for engineering services to perform design services for the sanitary sewer improvements project.
Okay,
The
entertain a motion.
engineer is DMB Engineering and Architects. The cost of $35,000, and the funding source is from the 2025-2026 general fund budget and/or the general fund unreserved balance.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Clark. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Request a resolution authorizing the superintendent of public works to attend the AWWA New York section of the Water Conference in Saratoga Springs, New York, from Monday, April 13th through Thursday, April 16th. The cost of $1,500, and the funding source is from the 2025-2026 water fund budget.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori, second by trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's it, thank you.
Right. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Palumbo. Mr. O'Keefe.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of the board, and Mr. Gibbons.
Good evening. Good evening.
So during the month of March, the building department continued to oversee construction activity, enforce local codes, and ensure compliance with all applicable regulations. Activity levels remained steady throughout the month, but as we move into the spring months, a seasonal increase in application is anticipated. With the arrival of spring, the department is also preparing to increase enforcement on property maintenance requirements, particularly regarding landscaping and weed control. Letters will be issued to all commercial property owners, reminding them of their responsibility to properly maintain their properties, as we do every year, and it seems to work pretty well. But failure to comply may result in the issuance of notices of violation and/or summonses. Additionally, the demolition of the medical building at 110 Willis Avenue has commenced and is being closely monitored to ensure safety and compliance. But any residents with concerns relating to the ongoing projects, especially the large-scale projects, are encouraged to contact the building department. We wanted to end this, we talked about this in the office, is ending each time with a riddle, so I do have a riddle for everybody. What's the fastest way to stop construction? To do it without a permit. So I know it's not funny to a handful of people we all know about, but I figure it would be a good way to end it.
And we do that. We do post stop work orders. We don't want to, but probably more often than people realize.
Gets
And
their
it really comes down to life safety. I know we just discussed the budget, but I do want to commend your department, Mr. O'Keefe. We had a great year, a great fiscal year in the department. Exceeded all expectations. It is a busy department, and your, parallel paths of dealing with the day-to-day operations while trying to seamlessly transfer over to Municity, our, building department platform, if you will. That's not easy to do with two relatively new employees who I know are quick learners, and they've done a great job.
Absolutely.
But it's not easy, and I expect that next year will be just as busy, so
Absolutely.
thank you.
Expect it to go up. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Gibbons?
No report, Mayor.
No report. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the work session.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Clark, second by trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Please rise. Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and join the board in a moment of silence as we honor our veterans, our first responders, and especially in this day and age, we honor our active military who are in harm's way. I would also ask this evening that you keep in your thoughts and your prayers John Spellman and his family. John Spellman was a longtime village attorney in the village from the early to mid-1980s until the mid-2010s as he undergoes serious medical issues. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our public meeting. Unfortunately, Mr. Casado had to excuse himself as he has a very important fire department election in his company that he must attend to, so we certainly understand that. And Trustee Salaski is unable to be with us this evening, and so just have the three of us. Since this is a public meeting, I would like to mention, with my other hat, you may have seen or you may have heard, or you're going to see in the coming weeks, I spent a week last week in Portugal with 11 students from Mineola High School on an exchange with our sister city. You may have heard about 2 years ago, We did a sister city agreement with the city of Estareja in Portugal. We had done an exchange with our fire department, where firefighters from there came here, firefighters from here went there, and we trained, or they trained, I'm not a firefighter. But on the 26th of March to April 2nd, I, along with another teacher, led a group of 11 Mineola High School students to Portugal, to Estareja, and tomorrow, the students there are coming here, and they are gonna spend a week in Mineola. So you may see them around. We're certainly gonna take them to New York City and places here on Long Island, bring them here to Village Hall, take them across the street to the firehouse. So a great tradition, and something that I hope continues, this tradition of exchanges that started probably 30 years ago in the Mineola School District, and I hope that it continues, because it's a lot of work, I can tell you firsthand, but to see their faces, it's worth it. So I would just like to thank everyone who made it possible. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. It's spring. It's a little cold, but spring is here, so I'm just going to encourage everybody. Pool passes are available. Register for summer rec is happening. So all the things to think about for summer, swim lessons, all that stuff. So I would highly recommend, if you aren't aware of what's going on or what's available in our community, you reach out to our rec department and get involved. And hopefully I will see you. Our first concert is soon. So I will, what is that date, Linda?
29th,
29th.
28th.
Okay, first Sounds on Second is the 22nd, so hopefully we'll see you there and we'll kick off the concert season. So thank you.
Trustee Clark?
Good evening. Just a point of interest, just be careful as you're out driving around. I happened to notice today, the kids are out playing, they're riding their bikes, they're playing in the street, so just be careful. They're not always careful, so we have to be. So just keep an eye out for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to mention, as I did during the work session, but since this is a different tape, is that next Wednesday, the 15th, we have our budget hearing. That is the point where the public can comment or question anything that is in the budget. Today, we had our budget presentation, and then at some point later in the month, before May 1st, we will have to adopt a budget. Obviously, I want to wish everyone a happy Easter belatedly. I believe the Greek Easter is this weekend, and Passover as well. So as we mentioned, and on the 18th is the MAA opening day. It is not a parade this year. It's just going to be located at the field. So please be there. I believe the time is, it is the 18th at 9 a.m. at the Little League Fields is the MAA opening day ceremonies, okay? Okay. We'll open it up to public comment. Anybody in the fourth row wishing to comment? Anybody in the fifth row wishing to comment?
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody in the sixth row wishing to comment? Okay. When you approach the podium, just please state your name and tell us where you live, and then go ahead.
My name is Stacy Lee. I'm living at 235 White Road.
235 White Road.
I'm Gary Lee, her husband, 235 White Road.
I'm Eric Spora. I live at 236 White Road.
So this is regarding the petition that we've
Mhm.
been going back and forth with Brian on regarding the alternate side parking regulations that we are petitioning for. It's been something that's been going on for quite some time now, and it's causing a lot of stress on a lot of us that live on that block between Jericho and Jackson Avenue. The lack of regulations is causing a lot of congestion on both sides of the streets. And it causes a lack of visibility from time to time. And because of this winter especially, of how packed with snow the streets are, when people park on both sides, it is nearly impossible to be able to not only see around any cars that are parked on two sides of your driveway, much less be able to pull out of your driveway without touching the other cars. So that's a huge concern for us, and there has been accidents on that street because of that lack of visibility. And I think you guys have things to add as well.
Yeah, so I've been living on the block for 15 years. I have the luxury of having a larger property. However, Chaminade kids, and I went to Chaminade, so I can speak for my, have abused the street in terms of parking. They block the driveway a number of times. Both Gary and I have to call numerous times, whether it's a school or the village, to have them either move the car or to cite them with a parking citation. And so it, not only does it cause lack of visibility, but also it also causes lots of traffic, lots of congestion from both sides in the evening, in the afternoon when they leave, and in the morning when they get there. A lot of the kids race down the block. We have a lot of young children, a lot of babies that are sleeping. We've had a complaint from my neighbor on the corner, William, who actually complained that fact that there's lots of noise when they leave school, and it woke up their young newborn. So that, along with the fact that, you know, the street isn't wide enough. It's actually probably one of the more narrow streets in the area. And notwithstanding the fact that most of the blocks west or east of White Road have parking regulations. So what happens is that leaves us the burden of all the cars that are parked on our block. So I didn't see why we shouldn't be able to have some restrictions. The restrictions that we proposed were nothing more than a 3-hour limit during the day. During school days. And so we made that specific to Mr. Rivera. And also it controls behavior. That's all we want. We don't want to restrict everyone from parking all day long. It just controls behavior. And so it also allows, obviously, more room on the block for people to pass through. And like Stacy indicated, the snow made it even worse this year. So we literally couldn't move cars through. My son gets picked up every morning to go to school, and the bus has a hard time getting through the block.
There was actually a school bus on the street that ended up scratching another car coming on the opposite direction, because it just was not enough room with cars parked on both sides.
Okay, obviously I know the area, and so I'm gonna say a couple of things. I would want nothing more than to give you what you want, because I don't live there, right? I live elsewhere. I have my own problems where I live. And as long as I've been on the board, what we have done is when residents have come up here, and most of them have come up before they put out the petition. They usually come up with the concerns, and then we suggest to them, get a petition. It's great, you did that first. The concern that we have is that there are 20 residents on the block, right? 10 of them said yes, they would like the changes. 8 of them said no, they would not like the changes. 2 of them did not respond. Of the 10 that responded, who I happen to know, because I worked with one and taught the other one's daughter, it's really the same person, 2 houses. So it's really 9 people, right? It's 2 houses, but it's really the same owner, so it's really the same vote. And
I disagree with that. I understand what you're saying, and I know who they are.
Right, so,
But if you want to take the rule literally, then you're saying 20 houses. 10 plus 1 is technically 2 houses. If you're going to count houses, then you count residents.
Right.
2 ownerships, two residents.
right.
They
Yeah.
could literally rent to someone
Right.
tomorrow.
And then I would want that renter to be the one to say that they didn't want, not.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is.
yeah, no, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's, so our standard has always been half plus 1,
Okay.
right? So if you get me, including that family, I don't care, I'm not gonna split hairs there. If you get me 11 people who say they agree, I would be glad to do it.
Okay, so
Right.
that's what we wanted to clarity on,
Right.
because we do have 2 additional residents.
Right, so if those 2
One-
residents come back and you get me, and it says, and it's 12-8, then I could look at those 8 people and say, hey, the majority of the people on your block want it.
Yeah.
Because I will say this, I looked at the responses, and not only did they say they did not want it, they like circled, no, you know, like, like an
Yeah, well-
emphatic no. And I get it that we're not gonna we're never gonna please everybody,
No,
right?
no,
You
no.
ask 20 people, you're not gonna
course.
get 20 people to agree. I tend to agree with you, and I also will say that my experience has been exactly what you said. is we fix your problem, we push it to the next street, right? Because
Right.
that's probably how you got to where you are, is the street to the east of you 20 years ago, 10
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago, 50
Yeah.
years ago.
Oh, yeah.
They asked for this and they got it.
Sure.
And so we just keep pushing, because this happened in my neighborhood where the street, the street that's perpendicular to where I live, they asked for no parking during the day. They signed a petition, the majority of
Yeah.
them said no, so we said, okay, you know where they park now? In front of my house, you
Yeah.
know, on the street that doesn't have regulations. So it's like a balloon, you know, people are Chaminade students aren't going anywhere, they're gonna drive, so whether they're on White or Wardwell
I wish they
or,
would have more parking.
yeah,
We even asked
so do I.
What are you proposing?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying,
So
like,
what they were
we
proposing
understand,
is
yeah.
alternate side of the street during school days from 10 to 1 or something
yes.
like that. And listen, it sounds sensible to me, except I don't want to tell you yes here, and then next week I have the other 8 people down here saying, hey, I just got a ticket in front of my own house, or my kid got a ticket, I work nights, and so I wake up at 11, and now I can't switch my car, because I'll also say this, every time, almost you know, you can predict it, when we have given the residents what they want, the first people to get summonses on the block are the very residents, because they forgot, they overslept, they were away, and it happens, right? So my solution to you, and I think the board, you know, ultimately the board has to take action. So I think the answer tonight is not no, and it's not yes, it's we're taking no action. In other words, it's like, right? So what I would like is you go back to your neighbors, come back to us, and come back with 11 signatures out of the 20, right? I'm going on the number 20, right, Mr. Rivera? Yes. 20.
Yeah, well, originally it was 19, but then it was 20 when we, you know.
Yeah, it's just we needed some clarification because we've been going back and forth for quite
So
some time now.
why do the residents, why, because your argument to me, yeah,
We sent out 2 surveys,
right,
right? One was a little bit more broad, and then they tightened up the request.
right, and we sent it out again.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the one
Can
that
you
came
get that
back
back
10, 8, and 2 no-shows. So,
Right, but
And-
originally it was 19, and then you clarified it was actually 20, so we didn't know that at first, so we had to now, then we have to resend
so
them out a second time.
why are people against it?
You know,
Why are those 8 people
you know, a
against
good
it?
question, and I've spoken to a few of
Because
them.
you sound pretty reasonable.
You wouldn't believe the explanations that we've gotten. I've got one who's uses, on the corner, uses the village as his everyday parking lot, village parking lot as everyday parking, and he told me he gets a ticket. I said, you've been lucky for 11 years, you didn't get a ticket, but it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Right.
Another person is telling me that they may have an additional car down the road because their daughter's gonna start driving. Well, okay, but that's 3 years from now, 4 years from now. You know, I've gotten all bizarre explanations. Somebody's referencing Jackson Avenue, they got a ticket on Jackson, it has nothing to do with White Road. So I can tell you the most
Welcome to
bizarre
my
answers I've
world.
received. It's bizarre. They're talking about totally different topic. Well, I'm talking about Y, they're talking about X. It's just strange. So I've had this conversation.
Bring over some cookies,
Yes.
something, or maybe
So-
some, you know, something
so-
else. And
So, just to go back to the 11 signatures, we do have one, Mr. Camping, who sent it in the mail, apparently got lost. She called and left a message just recently, just like the last couple hours. May
okay,
have gotten lost, I don't know what happened. And another neighbor who lives on 405 Jackson, or 409, Billy, he emailed it, but he wants to get another a letter sent to him again so he can resend it.
okay. So work this out with Mr. Rivera, whatever it is. I mean, we're getting to the end of the school year,
Yeah, so we'll talk about that, but these are the things he just.
so I'd rather not make any hasty decisions.
no,
so- And I
but-
want to do it this right, so that I don't
exactly.
have
That's fine.
this come back. And by the way, we've had residents who have come here, asked for something, and then conditions change, and a year or two later, like, you know what, we'd like to, you know, undo what we asked you to do, or we'd like to tweak it. I get the 10 to 1. I think that that's perfect, because
Yeah.
that's obviously in the middle of the school day, so
Okay.
a Chaminade kid can't park there at 7,
Yeah,
and he
no,
can't
that's-
park there at, you know, at 1. I
That's all
get
we're
it.
asking. We're trying to be reasonable, and that's why we included the school days, because we don't want everyone having to move their cars during the summertime when they're on vacation.
Okay.
Right.
Well, they leave their car in the street, they want to leave it there.
What are the regulations on White, or whatever the road is to the east?
It's-
Yeah, that was my question.
Jackson
Jackson
has-
is more, Jackson is more severe on parking, where
Right.
it's like, I think some
east to
are,
west.
It's
Alternate sides, they're all alternate
Just like
sides.
Latham, which is on X block.
Right,
east of us.
Latham, Emery, they're,
Emery, yeah.
they're
it's
all,
more the
all
They're all
hours, some, but 3 hours would be like the lower end.
end of,
like the-
right, it's not all day.
Yep, yep.
We've seen
Eh,
school days too on those,
Okay.
signs, some of
Yeah.
those signs. They're all a little different, but for the most part, they're 3 hours, 10 to 1 is typically what we see.
We, again, we don't live there, we'd like to give the residents what they want, you live there,
Yeah.
as long as we get a majority of the residents
No,
to
I
agree.
understand, but that's why we just want to
So-
make sure, we just wanted to clarify what
So
no
the,
action.
so the response today is, we're not saying yes, we're not saying no, we're taking no action,
Right,
you know, we're tabling it,
Got
if
it.
you will.
Okay.
And thank you for coming down, and thank you for working with Mr. Rivera. Just continue to work,
no, I
through-
appreciate that, thank you.
and you don't have to wait, because now we don't have a public meeting. Oh, yeah, okay, so hang around,
That's fine,
okay?
okay.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you
you.
so
Thank you
much,
very much.
thank you. Anybody else in the fourth row? Anybody in the fifth row? No?
Do you want to speak?
Okay. I'll,
You sure nobody wants to come up? I did, I spoke to her on the phone.
Do you want to?
talk to you after, but no, you sure nobody wants to come up then?
all right, yeah, you know, sometimes it's better to speak directly, but we are going to try to get a resolution to your issue, your concerns. We've been working with Joanne and Mike, and we're gonna try to find a resolution, but it takes some compromise on both parties. So we're gonna get a brand-new community center, but like making an omelet, you can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs. So there is gonna be a little bit of discomfort, and maybe a little bit of outside of what we're used to, but at the end of the day, hopefully in a few months, not a few months from now, a few months from when we start the work, you'll have a beautiful, brand-new home. But we're gonna try to find you a home in the meantime as well, okay? But Mr. Rivera is talking to Joanne and to Mike, and hopefully we can find a place for you, okay? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Have a great night, everyone. See you next week. I can quickly. He wants to talk to me. I don't know if he does.